Welcome everyone. We're going to get started here in just a minute. As we are live, we are working in Discord as well, so we are currently waiting on just a few people in Discord. Alright, well, welcome back everyone. As you know, these past few sessions we've been working on this Soldier 76 gun, and as of the last couple of sessions we've been working on the low poly structure, working off of the high polygon that we achieved. So today is going to be kind of a continuation of that. We're going to knock down a few more of the pieces on the gun, and then I think I'm going to solo the rest of the low polygon portion of the gun, so that we can work on the finalization of the UV's next class and kind of take it from there. So today we're just going to kind of go over some repetitive iteration stuff. Not a whole lot new to talk about, so let's get to that. I think we're going to start with this upper piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and press Control D and duplicate it. I'm going to isolate its selection using this isolate select up here in my window. Make sure everything is streaming good. Oh, yeah, we're good to go. Okay. So there's a couple of pieces in here that are different. So I'm gonna go ahead and press my extract, which I have saved up in my toolbar, since I use that quite frequently. That just gives me a chance to see the individual pieces that I need to break out of this. So it's like. Oh, after you extract, you're going to have to go back to select by object type, because it's going to go into select by component type when you extract. So we've got a few pieces built out around here. Now, some of this is actually hidden geometry, so actually, okay, let's go back in here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start actually just duplicating some of my, or deleting some of my vertexes. Go ahead and delete these out. I'm going to leave that bevel in there. I'm doing my best to maintain the shape that I need to maintain. I'm going to delete those side faces. Then I'm just going to grab these verts and I'm going to flatten them out on the z-axis just by dragging the blue box, which is the z. You do that for the bottom too. Just going to pull those verts off to the side a little bit more. Continue forth with taking out some of these edge vertexes. And see these additional edge loops that we put in there to define the high poly, we don't need anymore. So we're just going to start taking those out. Remember, this is done by simply double clicking on one of the edges on the edge loop. Don't need any of these. Now we don't necessarily need all of these rings around this curved segment over here. However, we can delete those later. Or you can choose to keep them. Yeah, it doesn't matter one way or the other. I think actually for the sake of breaking this down, I'm going to go ahead and delete these out. Now you'll notice that edge is pretty harsh. Obviously it's not softened, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this object. We're going to go into our edge system. Again, that's by holding down the right mouse button. You can't see this on the stream since it's a sub menu. You hold down the right button, go up to edge while you're holding the right button down. You select that and it puts you in edge mode. And then we're just going to go ahead and double click these edge loops here. And then we are going to go into normals, hit that drop down, and we're just going to soften those normals. Now when you see it, you've got a nice curve going on there. Pretty simple. And that's going to matter when we go to bake. Looks like we've got some hidden faces in here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag select over all of that, and then I'm going to deselect the faces obviously that are still visible. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. I'm going to do that up here too. Just get rid of some extra extraneous faces that we don't need. And it looks like we actually don't need this main face right here that's being covered by this piece. It's just going to save us a couple faces. Nothing major, but it does all add up in the end. Go ahead and grab this guy right here. Take out its edge loops. Go ahead and delete all of those out. Yep, that's right. Now, since this is a relatively small piece, I'm actually just going to take out this extrusion entirely. So I'm going to add, or go ahead and select those edge loops there. Just going to delete those. So that means I can get rid of this interface as well. Don't worry if everything looks a little out of sorts. We're just going to, this happens occasionally when you delete edges. The normals are going to get bent like this. So we're going to go ahead and go into face. And I'm going to double click to select all of the faces in there. And I'm just going to go up to normals. Again, that drop down menu up top, and I'm just going to set to face, and that's just going to bring all of them out, harden them up, and now you see the normals in there. Now, since this is actually relatively still a shallow piece, I think I'm going to make the decision to just get rid of it entirely, which means I'm actually going to bring back that face, since it's not there anymore, and I deleted it thinking I was going to have it concealed by that other piece, but since that other piece is so minor, I decided I'm going to actually just take it out entirely. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is my append polygon tool, which is in your edit mesh drop down. I have this bound to my bar here, so I'm going to go ahead and append the face, which I'm going to select this upper edge. And then some pink triangles should show up for you around the border of your open face. And I'm going to go ahead and select the bottom edge. So you have this pink square, and then I press enter. Boom. Now all of a sudden we have a repaired face. You can do this if you have, or you can just like extrude it out, just select it, drag it down. Which is a little more difficult when you've got faces that are going in a lot of different directions and stuff. So a pen polygon tool is a nice little feature. Okay, so we've got these guys. Let's go ahead and go over to this guy over here. And he's mirrored, so I'm just going to save myself some trouble here, I'm going to delete all of the bottom mirror. So I can actually just work on fixing one side of it. Again, we're grabbing all of those edge loops that defined our high poly state, rather than remodeling the piece individually and making it fit, conform to shape. We essentially are just taking all of the detail information from it, grabbing all the individual edge loops, some hidden stuff back here. Yeah, there is. So I'm going to just grab all of these pieces here. Get rid of all of them. So we still got a couple in here. Now, alternatively, how much of this is actually shown? Not a whole lot. So if I go ahead and select all of this, and deselect this, we've got these back selection of faces showing. Again, that's me alternating between the wireframe mode and the shaded mode. So these faces that are invisible, I'm just going to go ahead and delete those out. And got some extra faces, extra edges in here. Delete that. I'm going to fix the normals on this. Go ahead and set that to face. Now, the thing about this is it's got still a lot of hidden space, which is not necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag some of this a bit more inward. That's going to save us some UV space. This is relatively over here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and drag it out closer to that edge. So now everything is a little bit closer over there. And the reason I did this is to save UV space. So we're not essentially UVing a larger piece. We're kind of getting a little bit back there on the texture information instead of wasting it. Let's go ahead and just delete these bottom faces here. Got some hidden stuff on. Oh, let's get rid of those there. None of that we can see except for that, so go ahead and get rid of that. Now with this piece, obviously we've got some extraneous geo happening. A lot of these edges here don't really serve a purpose. So we're going to start binding some of these. We've also got some stray verts happening, which again, that happens. It's okay. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our snapping, which is up here on our top toolbar, and we're going to snap the points. We're just going to start dragging some of these points. These stray ones, we can just, actually it looks like we've got a whole other line here. Delete that. There we go. So all we're doing is taking these points and tying them to another point, so we can go ahead and go in and get rid of the rest of the edge loop. And that's just going to save us some geometry. I'm fixing these little stray verts here and there too. It should, when you drag it, just automatically snap to the nearest point that you drag it towards. Looks like we've gotten everything in here. Let's actually clean up these guys though really quick. This happens sometimes when you're deleting edge loops. It'll retain some of the information. If you don't catch it in here, you'll probably catch it when you're UVing. Grab all these vertexes and just roll them together. And I crashed. Awesome. So that happens occasionally, where Maya does not like when you do something. So bear with me as I'm going to try and get a recovered file here. And I'm hoping that I can recover it. If not, we're just gonna go to another piece and pretend like the last 18 minutes of my life didn't happen. Let's see. It might have recovered. Here's the 13th. Occasionally Maya will save you and put a file in your user's temp account. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're about to find out. So bear with me, I know the stream is currently dead. Yeah, it is now a broken file. Let's see if I can finagle something really quick. So in situations like these, some weird verts may have ended up colliding and causing some issues. Alright, well, brought my scene back up without our top pieces. That's something we'll touch back on, I guess, in the next class. It's fine. Well, I think I'm just going to go ahead and move on to something else until I can figure out what exactly caused that glitch there. I'm going to go to this main barrel piece. I'm actually going to go to this as well. We're just going to go to the center pieces over there. But we're going to start with this main barrel guy here. Now normally I would probably just model out something again really quickly here, but since this front end piece was a little extraneous, I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate him out, and we're going to start getting rid of some of the edge loops here. Let's see. Yeah, we might as well delete the bottom half of the mirror, and we can just mirror it over when we're done. Again, this is only going to take a couple of minutes to delete out most of this information. Now we've got this inner piece here. Show you an easy way to fix that. Actually, just going to go ahead and go into my face selection. I'm going to go ahead and select all of these faces right here. And delete them. Save me the trouble having to deal with that weird geometry, and then I'm going to go back into my append polygon tool. By selecting the edges, just go ahead and fill that space in really easily. Go to this back end over here. Take these edge loops. Make sure we're not getting anything in major geometry. Let's keep that face in there. This should be fine. There would be a little bit of cleanup happening once we're done here. Sorry about that. I'm going to go into vertex. I'm going to go ahead and select these 2 points here, and I have it on my bar, and I'm going to basically connect the 2 dots. That is in Edit Mesh, and you're going to go down in Edit Mesh to connect components, and that should just draw a line. Your other option, of course, is use the split polygon tool, but when I have 2 points like that, I just connect them. Delete this edge out. Focus in on that area. How I do that, if I I'm a little far away from something, I'll just select the edge and press F for focus. Easy way to zoom in on the target you're looking for. Get rid of this geometry. Snap this point actually over here. Snap it down over too. Those points out, take that one out. Alright. So we've got some straight lines over here as well. I don't think we necessarily need this whole loop. Take out this whole loop here. I'll patch that up here in a second. Again, we want to maintain our quad flow as much as possible without sacrificing a whole lot of geo. Connect these 2 points up here. Connect those 2 points. Now I'm pushing this out to triangles because I'm saving a bunch of faces in the long run by having to take out those edge loops. Connect these 2 points. So I can take, let's see, just move that into there. Now we're at 39 faces out of this. Pretty simple. And then I can just mirror that over. However, I'm actually just going to throw a quick UV on this. I'm not going to worry too much about the UVs at the current moment. We're going to go over a bunch of those towards the end. But we're going to go ahead and create one for this piece. I don't know why it's coming in all weird. I'm just going to rotate this around so that it fits it a little bit better. Let's go ahead and assign it that this little checker pattern that we created earlier. Hop over to C2 here. Go into my polygons and unfold. Brings up this menu. I'm just going to oops, I grabbed my layout. Let's start pulling this thing apart. Now, obviously it's not going to stretch out fully like this, so we go in, start figuring out where exactly I need to cut this thing up. So this area right here, we're just going to planar map that individually. So that gives us a separated piece there, since those are around some hard edges. And I'm going to go ahead and just grab this whole front section in here. I'm just going to go ahead and UV map that individually. And unfold that a little bit. That unfolds pretty decently. So now this piece should unfold pretty nicely. It's coming off a little stretched. I'll figure that out in just a second. Doing some odd things with UV, which is interesting. I'm alternating between the faces and the UVs. So I'm back in here in my viewport, and I'm just getting some weird shenanigans with the UV space. Which it looks like that's partially because we are once again unfolding in two different maps. So I'm going to fix that. If that happens, remember, and we're UVing and you're not seeing it in the viewport, just go ahead and take all your UVs and copy UVs to U channel 1. Turn off that image. Go ahead and lay these out real quick. Go back into this. It looks like we're pretty solid with this UV space. I need to shrink that piece down just a skosh, so it's a bit closer to the other one. Same with the front piece. Just gonna migrate that up a little bit. Now I can go ahead and mirror this over. We'll go into mesh, and I'm going to click the square on mirror or geometry to bring up the options itself. Now if I look at this piece, the up and down I want to mirror it on is the Y, so we're just going to mirror it on the negative Y. Now this seam line right here for the mirror isn't going to matter too much because it's being blocked by a cylinder, so it's not that big of a deal. However, I'm going to fix this front piece. I'm going to create a new planar map on that one. Back in my UV space over here. need to weld those verts and then mirror it over so that this UV is bonded together on that seam line, which it's still not. So let's go ahead and redo that planar facing. There we go. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this UV piece over here. So that we can move forward with some of this low poly stuff in here. Back in my scene one, just got this piece. Now that top one that I have, so this top piece over here, I obviously don't want that mirror line. So I'm going to go ahead and move that over. In this UV space, I'm just moving this guy over and lining him up with this other one so that I can go ahead and go into that edge. I'm going to go ahead and press so selected edge together. Let's go ahead and relax this a little bit more. There we go. Now that top part doesn't have a mirror seam line. Pretty simple. Now obviously we've got the clone equivalent of that down there. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this guy. Scoot it down to line it up as much as I can with this other piece. Let's go ahead and take these two and just go ahead and add them into our final local layer. Now we can grab these three little guys. I'm going to go ahead and isolate select them. Now these are three individual components, but I think for the sake of what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create one cylinder here. Go ahead and rotate. Actually, let's pop open the properties here and let's migrate it to let's say 12. Not too high. I'm going to go ahead and snap it to the center point in this cylinder. So I'm going to turn on my wireframe and I'm going to snap it right, not there. Let's go into wireframe. There we go. Let's see what's happening inside of this thing. That's because I apparently did not define my inner geometry yet. And I probably won't. That's fine. I'll fix that later. So we've got this. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze this down so it's just inside of the space here. I'm going to go into the vertex points in this, and I'm just going to start shaping this towards what's going on over here. Go ahead and use my insert edge loop tool. use it off the relative distance so that I can then snap it to the edge here. Go to wireframe. I can go into my faces and select these. I can invert those out just a bit. Let's go ahead and select these edges and pull them a bit more towards the center of that. Add in one more edge loop to this area right here. Scale that outward. Into this little indent area here. Over here. And I'm not going to worry too much about that edge over there. It looks like we're a little bit off center with this last piece, so we can go ahead and shuffle that. And just move it up a little bit. Oh no, it's because that portion of it's indented right there. That's fine. So put it back there. And maybe just a tiny bit off center. So I might bring it out just a little bit. Actually, it's center, it should be right there. There we go. So just gonna line it up to that center pivot. Actually, I'm gonna make sure this one is lined up to that center pivot as well. Got a little bit more information here, so I can shrink this down just a little bit. And there we've got the rough shape of that. We don't, well, we might as well add that little bit of information since that's the front of the gun. Squeeze that down just a little bit. Alright, now you've got your shape, pretty easy. Just easily duplicating some of the edges, pulling them out. I'm going to go ahead and isolate, select this shape. I'm going to turn off this wireframe so I can see you've obviously got a bunch of normals that are all construed here. So if we went in and we just softened everything in here, obviously we don't want this kind of like non-defined area, so we're going to go ahead and go into some of these harder edges that we want in here, and we'll do the reverse, and we'll just go ahead and harden those edges. So now we get a little bit of a defined area right there. Now we can go in and pretty easily UV this guy. Select the end face here. Just create some planar mapping for him, for best plane. Same with this end. Pressing G to repeat my last command. And then select these faces. Let's go into cylindrical mapping. And we're just going to spin this around a little bit so that we get a nice line with it. Now you'll see in the UV editor, again, when you use this cylindrical mapping, the more you line up, the more it's going to make things a little easier for you when you go to move around the UVs. You can see them. Select these faces. Do the same, get that cylindrical mapping in. Go ahead and line them up. And I don't know why I'm not using my discrete move, but I can, and I'll do that on the next one. So now we've got just the last segment of faces. One more time, cylindrical map. Select that and select a ring to bring up our rotate, which over here on the left you can define some snapping. So I'm going to go ahead and define my discrete rotate so it snaps by 15 degrees. There we have. We get this one box that's a little over, so if you go back in and turn off that discrete rotate and you just shuffle it a little bit towards the direction, it'll fix that straight box. So now that I've got everything in here, go ahead and lay all these guys out in my 0 to 1 space. Go ahead and unfold them. Bring up that unfold UV option. I'm going to unfold constraint on vertical and then horizontal. Bring it down just a little bit. And go back in my scene and assign it my checker image. Everything looks pretty solid and clean in here. However, I am going to scale up these two components so they're a bit closer in checker size to a longer barrel. Now if you want, you can go in and make these straight lines. Some people prefer that. When it comes to texturing it, me personally, I like to just let it sit on its own shape. For the sake of easy technique for later, we are just going to go ahead and lining everything up. And fold on its vertical axis. Easy enough. Now you can choose to weld these circles to the end caps. I personally like to keep them a little free floating, since if I need the space, I can pack them elsewhere. Nice little easy way to create that inner barrel without having 3 individual components. So we're going to go ahead and add that to the final logo. Easy as that. You'll see I started working on solo basis on this bottom barrel. This piece over here. I encourage you, since we're running towards our 10 o'clock time zone, I encourage you to attempt this piece here. You know, if you've got the model laid out. If you would like the model itself, just let me know. You can pick apart mine if you haven't modeled this bottom barrel area here yet. But I went in and started just creating an easy shape for it. Now I'm going to delete, obviously, this bottom half of it. So that I only have to work on the geometry of the upper half. You always want to keep that in mind. You know, if you've got perfectly mirrored over objects, it's best to keep working in that regard. So let's take a look at our final output we've got here. We didn't get as much done today because I spent 20 minutes doing nothing that crashed. Starting to get that gun shape. If you look at the wireframe, let's turn off that texture image. We've got so far a really nice clean wireframe. Again, this is something you want to stress a lot of when you're developing a game asset. This is obviously a bit more higher res than normal, but typically hero objects do have a little bit higher resolution. So right now we're at 1300 faces, a lot of which is actually in our cylindrical objects. This will get cleaned up a little bit since I just started working on that. But I think going forward for us for class 9, I'll have a few of the low poly objects ready for the lesson, and we'll just go over some quick final lessons on poly optimization and working with some of the UVs again, and then we'll gear towards our final portion, which is I would say class 10. We are going to work on the final UV map and figuring out the best laid out options for our UVs, and so we can take that into to texture baking. So stay tuned, of course. We're getting there, and then the fun part, the texturing part, is coming soon once we bake out our normals. Now, for future reference, I bake out my normals in 3ds Max. There are, again, plenty of ways to bake out normals, X normal, crazy, whatever, and there are ways to do it in Maya. I don't like doing it in Maya. In fact, I haven't done it in Maya in the past 6 or 7 years, so I'd have to look into it, which I can. I'll look into it and see if we can't do a lesson on baking, but for the sake of this, we'll get the normal map out. You guys can bake it however you typically bake your normal maps, and then we will go forth with texturing from there. So thank you guys for listening in. I'm sorry for the Maya crash. It happens. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, and I will see